welcome everyone to day 13 of my 13 Frights before Halloween. I'm so excited that we're finishing up on this project today. I hope I haven't bored you too terribly with all the different days, that you found it interesting and that you actually made this project. Even if you didn't make it for Halloween, that's okay. Tomorrow's Halloween. One of my favorite holidays. I just love the decorations of Halloween and the cooler air and the fall and all that goes with it, and the candy. I love the candy. So anyway, I have all my bits and pieces ready to decorate. I did want to tell you one thing. I did cut a scrap of this cat paper, and you can barely see the line right here and here to cover up those two magnets because I was afraid my element that I'm going to add on here would not cover it up. You do not want to cover your magnets up with this thicker piece here. So make sure you're not doing that. So the thinner paper works, and then what I will be putting down. So there's our closure on it, and so I'm ready to get started. I did lay out all my things that I wanted. Now this is cut from the signature page that I set aside, and I did that off camera to see if it would work. So you see here, I just loosely fussy cut out what I wanted. Don't have to be fancy, around the tree, around the purple, and a little bit of that. So this is what I wanted. I wanted the midnight tails. And I'm going to open this up, and this is going to go here. And see, I was afraid it would not cover the magnets good. So I did add that paper under there, and you can't see that. So this is going to be my first piece that I glue down. Now yours may be different than mine, and that's okay. And that, what do I call that? That we made earlier. Jeez, I can't even remember what I call them. Let me look at my notes. I know I've got it wrote down. Slider. The slider piece that we made. So see, that stops right there. That's going to go right here, and it's going to cover this cutout part right here. And I'm going to probably lift it up a little bit with some chipboard pieces, because I like dimension. I've got some of the roses, Graphic 45. I have a couple of the black. I have one small black and one small black bud. One of the lighter purples, a large dark purple, and a dark purple bud. Some of the greenery, I have that. I did tie this ribbon on. This was a piece of purple crinkled seam binding ribbon. So I tied it in that little piece there. I didn't do that on camera because I thought, well, you know how to tie a piece of ribbon, and I tied knots in it. I have just a little bit of it left, and I'm going to see if I'm going to use that in with my flower arrangement. I pulled this from the ephemera because I just love this filigree. I think I'm going to lift this one up just on the center, and then I pulled this because I love, 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 love this witch and this clock piece. I also took from the ephemera this keyhole and attached it to black cardstock and fussy cut around that. Okay, because I wanted that solid in there. So also I'm going to use this banner piece, I think maybe, so that I can put the date of the year that I'm going to use this for, whatever year. I'm not going to put a year on it yet. I'm not positive if it's this year or next year's or what. But so let's start adding our elements. Now I think, let me look, this is going to go in back here. So I want to make sure. So I'm going to put some glue just on the bottom edge here, maybe a little bit right here, to attach it to this fussy cutout piece, about right there. Okay, so that kind of extends that a little bit, that piece. The tree goes up into it. That's the moon and the witch. And so this is going to glue right down flat. So I'm going to turn it over, use my glue, outline it with glue. And I know a lot of people don't like the decorating part, but I love to decorate my projects, my albums. Put some glue up here. Don't have to cover that piece solid with glue if you don't want to. Then on here in the back. Okay, I think that's plenty of glue. So let's flip it over, and we're going to line it up over this edge here. Make sure this is on there, this is still on there, and bring it just a tiny bit. There we go. Make sure all these pieces here are not sticking off. Then I take my bone folder and I go over it and burnish it down. Okay, I love that. Love that witch and the mushrooms and the frogs on it and the cat and the bats. The haunted tree, the witch's broom, stars. It's all perfect. Okay. Now, next is going to be this piece. Do I want to lay it flat down or do I want to lift it? I want a little bit of this stripe showing, though. It's going to show over here. See how that closes there? So I think I'm just going to glue this piece down. Gives it enough little bit of lift. So let's put glue on all of that. So this piece we made earlier during our 13 fights. If you missed that, I'll need to go back through there. I can't remember which day it was. Slider for that. Front cover slider was on day 10, October the 27th. So you can check for that. So I'm just going to line this up right like that. Nice. And it's okay to layer over your image. You don't want everything just spaced out. You've got to do some layering to make everything look better, I think. Okay, so we got that. Now this piece here, the key, I think is going to go down here. The keyhole, it's not a keyhole, not a key. So I'm going to put glue on the back of that. Okay, right over those pumpkins a little bit. Like that. Okay, next, let's see here. I think this greenery piece is going to go right in here. So I'm just going to put some glue on the backs of some of the leaves, the stem here. I use art glitter glue for everything. I hate hot glue. I hate the strings of it and burning me. And art glitter glue will glue just fine. It will definitely hold once it dries. A little bit oozed out there. So I don't want them glued completely down, but just enough to hold it all in place, especially the stem. Okay. Now then, flowers. I'm going to put that big one right there. And again, like I said, I use art glitter glue. You put it on, you set it in place, you let it start drying. Every now and then you come back and you just kind of press in to get that glued in there. So this light purple one here on the side. Now you have to use plenty of glue. You can't just be skimpy with it to make it work. So that kind of hides that space there from that. The black rose goes in here. Put a black bud right in here. Now you want your flowers clustered together. You don't want, again, all spaced out. You want an arrangement. Do a flower arrangement. See, this one can go right there. I'm pushing them together to make sure I have a tight arrangement in here. And that's the thing about art glitter glue, because you have time before it really sets hard to get your little pieces in there like this. Oops, I don't too much glue there, so I just wipe it off. Isn't that pretty? Very pretty. Now this piece here, I want it lifted up. And I'm going to go get some more, so hang on. So guys, I really apologize. I paused or turned off the camera, went to get my black chipboard pieces, forgot to turn it on. So I cannot recreate what I've done here and after this, but I will go over it with you. So you can use regular colored, just regular chipboard or black. I'm using black, but if you have a regular, color it with a black Sharpie marker just on the edges. And then for this piece, I cut 2 full size. Make sure it fits just right in here, you know, like this. But trim it down so that it fits in between the frame pieces. You don't want it sticking out, and you glue it on the back. 2 thicknesses of it. And then on the bottom, I took little pieces. And you cut the chipboard with your scissors, but I took little pieces and then I layered it on just the bottom edge. To give this bottom edge, I did 2 more pieces like this. I just stack them together, just make sure they stay within this. And then I glue the solid flat side to the back of the ephemera piece like that. So let me grab one. I'm not going to glue it, but I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. These I am going to glue. I took 2 pieces of this, the rectangle. They don't have to be cut perfect. You just want to make sure that it doesn't show outside of your frame. So I took glue. I'm going to recreate it the best I can. I can't recreate the actual. So I glued 2 squares together like this. And then on the bottom edge of it, I glued 2 shorter ones because on top of the double thickness. So this becomes 4 thicknesses just on the bottom edge. Okay? Just like that. And then I flipped it over, and where it's solid, I glued to the back of this piece. So for example, if it was this, like that, you would glue it just to the center of it so it doesn't show. And then you would put glue on this and this part, and you would glue it down. The pieces that don't have any backing don't get glued. Okay, I hope that makes sense. And I do apologize for not turning that camera on. Maybe my brain's a little tired after 13 days of crafting with you. I don't know, but I also use chipboard instead of foam dots or foam squares because I have older projects where the foam squares lose their tackiness and your items fall off, and I've had to redo them. So this is very strong with your art glitter glue, and it's cheap. I mean, you've got leftover scraps of chipboard that you can use. So then I glued that here, and then the next thing I did was take from my stash some Tim Holtz Gauze, and you can buy cheesecloth and just cut it like a quarter of a yard. You can buy it at the fabric stores, most places. You could even use the kind for Band-Aids. It comes in a roll. And you can ink it a little bit with some tea stain. And I just cut a piece of it. I did 3. I thought I was explaining that I do in odd numbers. So I did 5 flowers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Odd numbers make things more balanced. And then I did 3 of the gauze. But anyway, I just cut a piece of gauze. I raveled the ends a little bit, just kind of pull on it. It does like that. Fold it in half. Put glue in where I want to stick it and poke it with my scissors to make it fit in. See, like I would poke it in and glue it in there. Okay, so that gives that wispy look. Then I had 2 pieces left over of this purple ribbon, and I made sure it was crinkly, and I cut 3 pieces. I have 1 here, you can't see it very well, but 2 here, right in here. And I just glued the pieces of the ribbon down in there. So next, I'm caught up now, and we're still recording, right? So I've cut about 1 yard of the black and the orange, and I'm going to make a bow, I think, to stick right here on the side to match, you know, what I've used. So I take my fingers. I don't use bow makers or anything. I just think it's a waste of time. Cut that off a little bit. Okay, so I have the tail laying here across my 2 fingers, and I wrap it around the bottom. So I've got it laying here, around the bottom, through the V, just kind of crisscrossing. Get to the point where I want to stop, holding these all with my thumb. I poke the other tail in between the V of my fingers and all that string. So I poked it through. Now I still have this loop. I'm going to take the other tail, bring it through that loop, and pull in the center, and that makes a bow. Okay? Pull it off your fingers, and you've got a bow like this. Now this one I'm not, do I want to leave tails on it? Yeah, I'm going to leave tails. So I'm going to tie the double strings into a knot on each tail. Of course, I'm going to trim it down some, about like that. Trim off that end and make the other one about the same. Doesn't have to be perfectly the same, because ribbons never end up being the same, I don't think. So snip that off. Now that I'm going to fold this up where I have the center of my knot, turn this on the side here so I can see. Back in here under this flower, put some glue with the greenery, and I'm just going to hold these by the loops and stick that in like that, and just take my little scissors and kind of poke it. If you have a pokey tool, you can use that. Kind of wipe up some excess glue if I have to, and just let that. Now if you don't like the tail, these sticking out, you can cut them off, but I think I'm going to leave them down for now. So let that dry. So I think that's pretty good for my flower arrangement. Kind of like that. So this is drying. If you want to add some of those black these somewhere else, I'm thinking, let me see here. I think for sure, I got glue on there, didn't I? Let me see. I'm going to put a small one up here. Oops. I do use glue. So grab a big one, put it down here. That gives us some dimension here. And a medium one for up here. And that glue again will dry clear. If it's showing, you can take, I take the tip of my scissors sometimes and just kind of clean that off. There's a lot, but I like how that looks. I don't know if you can see. There you go. Oh, and I forgot, I also did glue this little banner piece here so that you can write the date if you wanted to. So I put that in there like that. I'm really liking this. So next, if you wanted to, you could use some Wink of Stella. I don't know if mine is just about all gone or not. Let's see if I can squeeze it and get it going a little bit. Like here on these pumpkin leaves, you just brush it on, some on the pumpkins. Gives it a little bit of sparkle, not a whole lot. Mine's almost all out. Put some on these leaves here. Really don't think you can see it much, but it just kind of, you can do that if you want, maybe here on the moon if you can. But I just love all the different elements of this. So I love how it turned out. So that concludes the tutorial for this large folio album. We'll do a showcase walkthrough tomorrow for Halloween on the 31st, and that will also be at 9 a.m. in the morning on October the 31st, Central Daylight Time. We're going to be changing back to standard soon. I'm kind of excited. I'm weird. I like regular time. I don't like daylight time, but I survive. But I wish they would just leave it one or the other and never be changing back and forth. But yeah, so that's our folio album. I love how it turned out. I hope that you've enjoyed this, and if you made it, that you are happy with how yours turned out, and we'll take a good look at mine tomorrow. Thanks so much for following along for my 13 Frights before Halloween. If you haven't, please subscribe to my channel. Please share, because I'd like to get a whole lot more subscribers. I'd like to get my channel out there to more crafters so that they can enjoy free tutorials and learn more about Country Craft Creations and the awesome exclusive paper lines that she's coming out with. There's more coming out this year, guys. I've seen some sneak peeks and shares of others that are coming out. So probably by the time this, some new ones have already come out, and I'm sure the next year is going to have a whole lot more. So they're a lot of fun. I have several collections that I've received. I haven't even had time yet to make projects with, but I am going to. Again, to remind you, in November, after the hop, there will be a Country Craft Creations hop for the calendar paper line that she came out with. We'll be doing that in November. I don't know the date off the top of my head, but after that, then I'll start working on the Christmas Dreams paper collection from Country Craft Creations, remaking the album I shared several days ago with you before this event started. I shared another Halloween box that I had made in the past and an album. So I'm going to remake that in November. So be sure to subscribe, share my channel with others, invite your crafty friends and family to come and check me out. Make sure you click the bell so that you get notification of when I do upload a video so that you don't miss anything. And give me a thumbs up like every time you watch one of my videos, because that helps me to be on the searches more on YouTube. When people go to search YouTube for something, like if they typed in Country Craft Creations or Folio album or Graphic 45, whatever, it's going to push me up into that search on the side so that they can see my videos. So appreciate that. Check out countrycraftcreations.com, countrycraftcreations.com, and then come back tomorrow, 9 a.m. Central Daylight Time, and I'll show you a walkthrough of this, what I did for the whole 13 days, and announce the winners of my little giveaway that was sponsored by Creative Chaos by Sin on Etsy, where she makes the little organizing bags for your tools, to take to retreats, and also some picks for your craftiness. So anyway, thanks so much. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.